The Earth has transformed. A realm once governed by humans and technology, where tranquility and opulence reigned, is now overrun by countless creatures. In this altered reality, Paul stumbles upon forsaken twins. He imparts to them essential survival tactics to triumph over the creatures. It narrates a tale of devotion, endurance, and the extraordinary affection between a father and his children. At the outset, Paul inspects a forsaken dwelling and seizes a branch for protection. Avoiding the peril of detection, he cautiously exits the abode and scurries through the streets before the creatures can find him. The entire municipality is void of people. The blaring alarms exacerbate the already dire atmosphere. On his journey, he encounters twin babes in a deserted abode and opts to nurture them as his progeny. A decade and a half elapses. Paul owns their skills to mastery, and nightly, they withdraw to their domicile before dusk. This day, Thomas is tardy after a day's endeavors, and Paul, fraught with anticipation, stands vigil outside. Aware of the perils that lurk outdoors, Joseph urges his return. Yet he opts to bide, while Joseph secures each portal. In that instant, Paul espies Thomas hastening homeward, and together, they cross the threshold just in the nick of time. Every lock clicks firmly into place. Paul never omits their nightly custom, inquiring, "Are we secure?" Upon their confirmation, he joins Joseph and Thomas at the supper table for a prayer. Yet before they commence eating, Paul cautions Thomas against tardiness, citing the peril. Thomas, who ventures daily to aid Mr. and Mrs. Rose, vows to make it home before twilight henceforth. However, Joseph's discontent with Thomas's recklessness simmers, puzzled by Thomas's all-day absence. Thus, he bluntly confronts Tom's negligence, sparking an argument at the meal. Paul detests their futile and careless actions and yearns to curb them. That evening, Paul ensures the door fastenings are secure. Tom immerses himself in a book and later joins Joseph for a game of chess. Abruptly, Paul's attention is drawn to their hound, fervently digging into the ground with its claws. This is an omen that the beasts are on the verge of surfacing. Swiftly, Tom grabs a lantern and inspects the cellar entrance. The creatures are hammering at it ferociously, and it appears they might breach it any second. Paul and Tom brace against the entry, striving to keep it sealed, and after some time, they withdraw. Joseph notes that multiple beasts were at the door. They began with tentative knocks, then shifted to pounding in vexation. The door, marred by deep gashes, won't withstand another onslaught. Thus, Paul dislodges the damaged section and sets out to hew timber for a fresh patch. While sketching a timber crate in his journal, Joseph keeps his plans under wraps when Paul interjects. He divulges only that he's devising something to empower them to dwell boldly amidst the lurking monsters. His aspiration is to embrace a liberated and intrepid existence. Meanwhile, Paul has constructed a conveyance. Paul examines it and then joins Joseph to peruse his diary. Joseph records that the beasts arose as humanity tainted the planet. They aim to purge the world of a contagion known as humankind, vowing to persist until the last one perishes. Paul appreciates this hypothesis, yet he observes the water's clarity improving daily, a hopeful indicator. He trusts that eventually, individuals from other regions will arrive to rescue them. Paul inspects the conveyance and attempts ignition. Remarkably, it activates, and he invites Tom and Joseph for an excursion. Joseph pilots the vehicle, struggling with the accelerator and brakes. Once they're back, Paul suggests a collective visit to the stream while he arranges the meal. Tom resists the idea and protests, but Paul insists on his departure. During this interval, Tom, seething with resentment, reproaches Joseph for thwarting his visit to Mrs. Rose's abode. Unable to contain himself, he exits the vehicle at an intersection, instructing Joseph to rendezvous with him there prior to nightfall. Joseph disapproves of his heedless conduct, yet is powerless to deter him. Upon Tom's arrival, he finds Mrs. Rose tending to her garden. He expresses regret for his delay and vows to complete the prior day's work post-haste. Mr. and Mrs. Rose acknowledges his assistance, and as they depart, their offspring Charlotte greets Tom with a charming grin. She informs him that she has already accomplished the chore and expresses delight at his return. Subsequently, Charlotte conveys her father's request for their assistance outside. Tom trails her, while Paul, perched near a cascade, spots a creature's limb in a crevice. Meanwhile, Tom halts the vehicle by the remnants of a shattered vessel. Securing himself with cords for a swift escape from unforeseen threats, he descends the steps. He surveys various sections and hefts a sizable object to the side. Unbeknownst to him, a swarm of tiny insects and lesser beasts lay concealed beneath, which abruptly assail him. Tom is thrown into chaos by the sudden onslaught. On the flip side, Joseph can't spot Charlotte's father anywhere. She chuckles, having played a jest, desiring a stroll outdoors for a spell. They converse about the apocalypse, and Charlotte proposes a game each will depict the world's demise in a mere 10 seconds. Charlotte leads, envisioning a scenario where an insect plagues the globe. As humanity succumbs and falls ill, rodents ascend, heralding the end. Charlotte concluded her tale promptly. Tom's narrative involved a smog blanketing the globe, and before time lapsed, he couldn't expand his story, thus forfeiting the game. Amidst this tender juncture, their smiles bridged the distance between them, yet dusk approached. Reluctantly, Tom prepared to depart. Charlotte paused for a brief embrace, halting time for 10 seconds. In that embrace, they found solace, and as the moments passed, Tom dashed to meet Joseph. Conversely, Joseph had narrowly escaped the vessel, evading the insects and fiends, only to find Tom missing. Back at home, Paul's concern deepened with the boys still away. Tom, hastening to safety, stumbled into a chasm. Joseph lingers at the designated location, yet surmising that Tom would have made it home if absent, he drives back. Alas, Tom is nowhere to be found. Paul instructs Joseph to remain and gather vital items for Tom's search. Meanwhile, Tom, regaining consciousness in the abyss, finds escape impossible alone. The pit is too profound and shadowy. He attempts to kindle a flame, and upon succeeding after multiple tries, an eerie noise arises, extinguishing the light. Relighting the fire, Tom is confronted by a looming beast. Paul, alerted by the commotion, dispatches the creature. Descending into the pit, he embraces Tom, relieved to find him breathing. They resolve to remain there till dawn, while Joseph keeps vigil, ensuring the abode is fortified. Midway through the night, as Joseph succumbs to slumber in his seat, a segment of the roof shifts. A creature's limb snakes through the window, striving to grasp him. The limb unfurls numerous extensions, yet fails to make contact with Joseph. However, the moment the beast steps beneath the gap in the roof, a container tethered by a rope plummets, trapping it. Joseph's contraption succeeds in ensnaring the beast, their alertness notwithstanding. Meanwhile, Paul kindles a blaze, and they are besieged by a swarm of diminutive winged pests. Paul attempts to seal the gap with the flaming torch in his grasp, determined to protect Tom at any cost. He implores Tom to keep his distance, yet the insects relentlessly assail him. Dawn breaks, yet they remain absent. Joseph embarks in the vehicle to find his father and brother. Concurrently, Tom, with great effort, extricates himself from the pit, guided by their canine companion to Joseph. Paul, grievously wounded and insensible, is hoisted by the siblings into the car and transported home. Tom reveals the stirring crate in the chamber and, against Joseph's counsel, opens it. To his shock, a lethal beast lies ensnared within. They administer first aid to their father's injuries and resolve to dispatch the beast, intending to utilize it for sustenance. The moment they expose the creature, it breaks free and lunges at them. With precision, they encircle and dispatch it. Joseph sets about preparing the beast for cooking, surrounded by illustrations of various monsters. Tom proposes a journey to Charlotte's village, hopeful of acquiring medicine there. Yet, upon witnessing Tom and his companions, the Roses swiftly secure their home against them. They withhold any medicinal aid, despite Charlotte's pleas for her parents' compassion. The Roses' only concession is to permit Tom refuge. Joseph's disdain for their coldness grows, prompting Tom to question the nature of those he had devoted his time to, especially as they withhold life-saving aid from his ailing father. Tom's fury boils over, and he nearly chokes Joseph in his rage. Subsequently, Joseph escorts his father home, leaving Tom behind. Charlotte seeks to uplift Tom's spirits and ushers him into her chamber. Her father, witnessing their embrace, commands Charlotte to distance herself from Tom. Meanwhile, en route home, Joseph perceives signs of a monster incursion. He hauls his father into the dwelling, noting the array of small and large footprints littering the dusty floor. Concurrently, Tom covertly rummages through Charlotte's kitchen, desperate to find medicine to save his father. As he searches, Charlotte appears, bestowing the needed medication and urging him to hasten back. Tom's father overhears their exchange and aims his firearm at Tom, who hastens from the village as dusk approaches. Yet, he is apprehended, charged with subterfuge. Joseph rips up the wooden flooring and barricades the doors with timber blocks to fortify the home. In doing so, he trips and falls to the floor's center. The creatures have burrowed a vast cavity in the room, threatening to emerge at any moment. The dwelling is compromised. Meanwhile, Charlotte's father delivers Tom to a group tasked with determining his destiny. They bind Tom's limbs and aim a gun at him, poised to execute him. However, just then, a beast bursts forth from the earth, consuming the would-be executioner. Creatures besiege the town, storming Charlotte's parents' chamber and seizing them into the open. They meet a violent end, and Charlotte, emerging from her quarters upon hearing the commotion, is met with the grisly sight of her parents' demise and the beast's gruesome feast. Tom implores the townsfolk to free him, warning of the imminent threat. Yet, engulfed by their own fears, they hesitate. Eventually, Tom manages to untangle himself and discards the wooden bed. Just as he's about to flee, a creature materializes before him. In that critical moment, Charlotte intervenes, firing a shot into the beast, and together, they make their escape. Tom hastens to her parents' chamber, only to learn from Charlotte of their tragic fate and the engulfing flames. They vacate the premises swiftly. Meanwhile, Joseph patches the breach in the room and glances at his father, planting a gentle kiss on his brow. Soon after, a squeaking sound emanates from elsewhere in the house. Pursuing the noise, he spots a creature attempting to infiltrate through the door. A human hand reaches for the doorknob, and relief washes over Joseph, realizing it's Tom striving to enter. Tom steps inside, his skin smeared with blood. Joseph urges them to adhere to his strategy, as danger looms imminent. Joseph constructs a funeral pyre from wooden scraps, arranging matchsticks and cigarettes atop it. Meanwhile, Tom is startled by another chasm forming in the floor of the adjacent chamber. He leaps up, concealing himself from the monster's view as they surface. Charlotte steadies her aim with the firearm. A beast bursts into the room, lunging at Tom, but Charlotte dispatches it with a shot. More creatures infiltrate the residence via the newfound entrance. Hastily, they shift the refrigerator to barricade another space. Amidst the chaos, their father strides forward, resolute in protecting his offspring. He relieves Charlotte of the firearm, felling numerous monsters. Ensuring the children's safety in another chamber, he secures the door behind them. Joseph's pleas to unlock the door are met with silence. Their father, besieged by countless monsters and succumbing to his wounds, is lost in memories of the day he first took his children under his wing. As flames engulf the house, Joseph's desperate plan unfolds. The trio, Joseph, Tom, and Charlotte, seek refuge inside the refrigerator, bracing for the impending inferno. The refrigerator tumbles amidst the chaos. Emerging from their makeshift shelter, they attempt to find their father, but hope dwindles amidst the devastation. With monsters in pursuit, they rush to the vehicle. Charlotte, resolute and armed, takes aim at the encroaching monsters, her shots echoing as a fiery maelstrom chases them into the night. With a few shots fired, they fend off the creatures and halt the car. For the first time in ages, they gaze upon the stars, a sign of Earth's cleansing air. Come dawn, they arrive at Charlotte's dwelling. She bids a heartfelt farewell to her parents' legacy, grateful for their lessons of love amidst a realm of fear and dread. With their past behind them, they resolve to find a new haven. Tom takes the wheel, steering them forward as they embark on a fresh odyssey. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications to catch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.